in many design you might have seen some 3D text, and it's super easy to create on Photoshop. So let's explore some technique together. And if you guys haven't subscribed my channel yet, don't forget to click on subscribe. And without any further ado, let's jump into the tutorial. So here we are in Photoshop, and I fill the background color with something like this gray color. And let's go to text and let's type a number. For now I'll just type number 8, and let's change the color to white, but we can change the color anytime. And let's select the text, Ctrl T, let's make it a little bigger, maybe something like this size. And I'm going to change the font. Let's go for, I think this font looks pretty good to me, so select this one. Let's make it a little bigger again, Ctrl T. Let's make it something like this size, and let's change the alignment to the center. Alright, now let's Ctrl T. Let's skew it, maybe somewhere like this. Alright, now right click and let's create new 3D extrusion from selected layer. So click on that. Then a 3D panel will open, and if you hover around you can see that the cursor keeps on changing. So let's rotate it maybe something like this, and from here you can change the shape reshape. So let's go and let's keep on exploring. So for me, like, this looks pretty good to me. I'll just select this one for now, and from here you can change the extrusion size. So how depth you want to make it, go for your own choices. So for me, this is pretty good, and let's bring it a little forward. Alright, and then from this panel you can change the material. So click over here, let's change the front material, and I'll just go for this one, or maybe a little darker this one, and let's change it all the way to metallic. I don't want glow. If you want to play around with the setting, you're free to do it, but for now I'll just leave it like that. And let's go to bevel material, and let's change the material to maybe something like this. Same thing, and let's decrease the glow, and then maybe increase the metallic, maybe something like this. And again, the extrusion material, I'll just go for the same material, or you can go for the different material too. So let's change the metallic, and you can also change the lighting condition. So keep on playing around with it. I'll not touch anything for now, just keep it default. And let's go back to layer panel and right click, render the 3D layer. Just a disclaimer, rendering time depends on your computer system. So if you don't have like good computer configuration, then it might take a longer time. In my case, it might take around 10 to 15 minutes. So I'll just click on render, and I'll come back once it's done. Welcome back, and finally the render is done. So let's select the layer, right click, and rasterize 3D. So here we have a complete 3D text. Now let's drag and drop this image over here, Control T, let's make it a little bigger, maybe somewhere around this size. Alright, and let's do some adjustment over here. So go over here, let's do hue and saturation. For now I'll just drop down the saturation, go to curve, let's increase a little bit, create a clipping mask, so maybe just fix the text. I think this looks pretty good to me. Alright, now select the layer, go to filter, go to camera raw filter, and let's increase the exposure a little bit. Drop down the highlights and increase the shadow. Detail, increase noise reduction, increase a little bit of sharpening. Drop down the saturation for all the colors. Increase a little bit, go to here. Maybe something like this. Click OK. Alright, this is pretty good to me. Now let's select the layer, create a layer mask, go to brush, and let's make sure the color is black. Let's make it a little smaller, Control T. Let's bring it somewhere over here and let's make it a little smaller, maybe something like this. I think this looks pretty good to me. Now let's create one more layer, go to brush, let's add a little dark color. Now erase, let's erase some of this part. Let's drop down opacity, maybe something like this. Now let's drag and drop this image over here. Let's move it all the way to the bottom. Let's change the blending mode to, I think overlay looks good to me, so Control T, let's bring it maybe somewhere over here, and let's drop down the opacity a little bit, and let's create a layer mask, go to brush, and let's change the brush opacity maybe around 15%. Let's erase some of this part. Now go to brush and let's go for this powder explosion brush, and if you want to download the brush, check on the description list below. So select this brush and create a new layer, and let's change the brush opacity to 100%, and let's go for a little lighter color, maybe, yeah, something like this. Now let's add, maybe let's create one more layer, and let's drop down the opacity a little bit. Alright, I think it's pretty good to me. Now let's add a background cloud. Now let's drag and drop this sky image over here, and let's drop down the opacity, and let's bring it all the way to the bottom. And let's create a layer mask. Go to brush and let's go for general brush, and let's drop down the opacity. Let's erase some of these parts from here. Alright, now let's add an exposure. So click over here, add an exposure, and maybe something like this. And let's select on this layer mask part and fill it with black color. Now go to brush, go to make sure the color is white, and let's start painting maybe some of this part. Let's add some highlights on there. And then let's do the same thing again. Go to exposure, let's drop down the exposure, and same thing, fill it with black color, and go to brush, make sure the color is white, and then let's add some detail. Let's make this a little darker. Same thing over here. So now let's do some color touch-up. So for that I'm going to use my favorite LUT. So if you want to download that same LUT, check on the description list below. So go over here, click on load, so select on this one, click on load. So here we have. Now let's add some text and we're gonna wrap up this video. So select on over here, add some text. Select all this, Control T, let's add a skew. And again, let's drag and drop this image over here. Let's make a group, Control G, then right click, create clipping mask, and then from here let's change it to overlay, and let's select over here. Go to image adjustment, and let's go to curves, and let's do some adjustment right here. Alright, I think it looks pretty good to me. Now let's do a final touch up. Go over here, create another curve, and from here let's drop the exposure, and let's increase the shadows part. Okay, maybe it's too much, maybe something like this. So alright, that's the final, and I hope you guys learned something new from this video, and see you guys in the next video.